The first alternative co-op of Corvallis was founded in 1970 by a group of community members, OSU students, and professors. Their idea was to offer high-quality, nutritious foods at a low price and education for people who wanted a healthier lifestyle. The co-op has grown tremendously since that time, but some things never change. It continues to be a community market with a model of environmental sustainability through purchasing and workplace practices. They strive for excellence in their products and services, offering high-quality, local, organic, and minimally packaged products. They also provide innovative education and community outreach. They now have 2 locations, one in South Corvallis at 1007 Southeast 3rd Street, and the other in North Corvallis at 2855 Northwest Grant Avenue. They are open every day from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The co-op has an average of 4 food demonstrations per week at each store. They also have 1 regular wine or beer tasting at each store every week. Besides wine and beer, they also have tastings of sake, mead, cider, or other creative selections. The wine tastings at the South Store are every Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. The wine and beer tastings at the North Store are every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. The schedule is available on their website at www.firstalt.coop. The co-op's original mission to offer education, information, and resources for healthy living continues today. It is involved in the Corvallis Independent Business Alliance, the Corvallis Chamber Coalition, the Sustainability Coalition, Allied Waste, and many, many more organizations in Corvallis. The co-op also participates in community events at Oregon State University, Good Samaritan Hospital, Hewlett-Packard, the Corvallis School District, the Boys and Girls Club, and the Yes House. While the co-op is open to everyone, ownership is a popular option for many shoppers. It costs a one-time fee of $70 to become an owner of the store. Owners have many benefits, like voting on co-op issues, voting for members of the board, getting a discount on the monthly owner sale day, and being able to work or volunteer in the store for a discount on goods. Besides the concrete benefits, being an owner of the co-op means being part of a local community. It's investing in the interest of our local economy and becoming part of an organization that is continually seeking a sustainable, cooperative alternative. The First Alternative Co-op.
Hi, I'm Emily Stymack.
And I'm Dave Williams.
We're from the First Alternative Co-op here in Corvallis, and we're going to tell you about 2 delicious dips to make for your next party. We're going to start out today with our delicious smoky cheese ball.
And then we'll finish up with a delicious tofu pate.
All right. Well, Dave, what are you going to start with?
I'm going to start shredding this delicious smoked cheddar cheese from Tillamook Dairy.
Okay.
And the good thing about smoked cheeses is they really enhance the flavor. You only need about 4 ounces of smoked cheese for this, so about half of this.
Okay.
What are you going to get started with?
All right. Well, we've got, for one of our main ingredients in the cheese ball, we've got cream cheese. We're going to use Nancy's Organic Cream Cheese. It's a cultured cream cheese made in Eugene, Oregon. And we've got that at room temperature to make it a little bit easier to mix together. So we're going to start out with that. When I say cultured, what I mean is that it actually, they use probiotics to create the flavors, and also that helps you with your digestion. So it's actually a beneficial food to eat. All right, so we're going to go ahead and mix the first ingredients of our cheese ball together. We've got the cream cheese in there.
Ooh, check out this cheese.
And next we're adding some Organic Valley butter. Organic Valley is a really cool, it's a national cooperative of dairy farmers. And that helps the dairy farmers gain economic independence. So we're using 1/2 cup of butter, and this is also at room temperature to help just make it a little bit easier to mix together.
If it's not at room temperature, just hold it in your hand for probably 2 minutes.
Sounds like a good plan. So here we go. We're mixing these together.
Ooh, this smells smoky.
Okay. Mixing the cream cheese and the butter is probably the first 2 steps you want to do because they're a little bit firmer.
Probably the loudest step.
And the loudest. All right. Next, we've got some Lockmead milk. Lockmead is another local company. And we're going to add 1 tablespoon of milk. And this just helps make that cheese ball a little bit easier for your guests to dig into. And they'll be wanting to dig into it for sure.
Definitely.
All right.
Just about ready for this cheese.
Okay, and then our last ingredient will be, besides the cheese, will be the Worcestershire sauce. Dave, you really like this Worcestershire sauce, don't you?
I love it. I love Worcestershire sauce in general, but most of it has anchovy sauce in it, which I'm not too keen on. So this one is gluten-free, it's vegan, and it doesn't have anchovies in it. So you can really please all of your friends with it.
We're using the Wizards organic, gluten-free, and vegan Worcestershire sauce. It's also a nice thing to think about when you're having guests over to consider whether or not they might be vegetarian and kind of cook accordingly. So maybe your average guest wouldn't necessarily think that a cheese ball would have a meat product or a fish product like anchovy in it. So this just takes that into consideration and makes it a crowd pleaser that's not going to compromise anyone's choices.
That's right.
Okay, so do you want to put that cheese in here now?
Definitely do. Can you smell it?
It smells delicious and smoky. And the good part is that you have another half of the cheese to eat later.
Which we may leave in the studio.
Maybe. All right. We're actually just we're just 1 step away now from completion of the cheese ball.
Okay, the next step that you want to do is take some crushed almonds.
Oops.
It's out of control.
Sorry, I think some cheese ball flew on you. Sorry.
So really the last step is to take some crushed almonds and spread them out on a flat surface. Once we form the cheese ball, we will roll it in these crushed almonds. We thought for a really good holiday variation, you could always throw some pumpkin seeds into a food processor and chop those up too. Maybe try that out.
All right, so I'm just using a spatula here to bring the ball together in the bowl, scooping the sides in, scraping it, kind of forming this ball. And you're just going to be so amazed at how easy it is to make a delicious and amazing cheese ball in just a few steps like this. And it really is, Dave, like you were saying, very easy to create different variations. For example, you could add a little red wine for a little wine flavor. You could use different types of cheeses. You can also try substituting alternatives to dairy. So if you wanted to do like a dairy-free cream cheese base and make it a vegan thing, you could do that. So now we've got our cheese ball formed here.
All right, let's roll it up.
Maybe a few last little touches to make sure it's kind of evenly formed here.
Well, I'm thinking onions and garlic might be good
Onions, garlic, all those things. And we just roll it around in the nuts. Da-da-dum.
You can use any nuts you want, really.
Yep, we got these. These are the toasted nuts from the bulk department at the Co-op.
Something interesting about toasted nuts is not only does toasting nuts enhance the flavor and really bring it out of each individual nut, but it also helps nuts not to sink. If you're doing a baking recipe, it helps them not sink in the batter to the very bottom.
All right. So, ta-da, we've got our cheese ball there. Looking beautiful and gourmet, and in just a few minutes, we did that. Now we're going to pair that with some locally made crackers from Oregon Cracker Company. These are gluten-free. They use a lot of different whole grain flours, so in addition to being gluten-free, you're also getting a lot of good nutrition. We'll put those right there in this little scooper. Pair it with a knife, and you've got your first appetizer ready for your party. Just like that.
They're one of my favorite crackers. They're super crunchy.
Okay. So now we're going to switch gears and go onto our next party dip, and that's going to be the tofu pate.
Yeah. So first, what you want to do is start with the tofu. Oh, thanks. Behind the back.
Yep.
So tofu normally comes with a little bit of water. You'll want to drain that off.
Oh. Or not.
Or drain more off.
You could probably put that in there.
Oh.
Pour it, like.
Yeah. You can also press your tofu if it's a little too moist.
There you go.
And I'll use a fork, and we'll just start mashing it up.
So the tofu pate is a nice option for your vegan guests. It's a really delicious protein-packed dip, and it also has a lot of fresh veggies in it. So we're going to start out by mashing the tofu, as Dave is doing.
It's kind of a nice substitute for cream cheese and dips.
Yep. And then we're going to add veganese, which is a delicious alternative to mayonnaise. It's made with a variety of different oils. You can get it with grapeseed oil, canola oil, and then a few different other ingredients which make it delicious. When I first tried veganese, I started actually coming up with meals based around like what could I put veganese on. It's great on any sandwich in tofu pate as we're making today.
Any salad.
Salad dressings,
Yeah.
all sorts of things. So we're going to add 3/4 cup of veganese today.
All right.
And I just go ahead and eyeball that.
Because we like a little extra.
Yep. So, and it's always safe to just go ahead and adjust to taste afterwards. So about that much. All right, and then our next ingredient will be the nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is a deactivated yeast powder that's really high in vitamin B.
Vitamin B, yeah. It's cultivated by isolating the yeast when it's in its pure culture form. And it's a nice substitute for cheese if you're vegan. It's a really nice thing to add to sauces or soups and make it taste a little cheesy without the dairy.
A little bit more.
Yeah,
Okay.
really cheesy.
And it does add a really nice depth of flavor to your cooking. So for soups and wild rice and all those sorts of things, a nutritional yeast is a great way to add a lot of depth of flavor without adding meat products, cheese, dairy, those sorts of things. Okay, and our next ingredient is the prepared yellow mustard. And Dave, this is one of your favorite ingredients, isn't it?
It is. I love mustard. It has that deep vinegar flavor, and mustard seeds are really good for you. I much prefer yellow mustard over spicy mustard.
I'm having a little trouble with the lid here, but that's fine. Mustard is something that I tend to add too much of, so I'm going to be a little bit careful. But,
By all means.
or maybe I'm going to take the lid off after all. And we'll go ahead and measure this one because I have over mustard before, and it can be,
We can play it safe.
yeah. It's better safe than sorry with the mustard, I say. Okay, so we're going 1/4 cup on this.
So while you do that, I'll start. Next thing you want to do is start chopping up some of your fresh veggies. You do not want to skip the dill. You really like dill, don't you, Emily?
Mm-hmm. Dill is amazing. And I think one important thing to remember with dill is that it does lose quite a bit of flavor when you dry it. So it's always good to get a fresh bunch of dill when you're getting ready to cook.
Definitely.
So we've got our base together here. This is the tofu with mayonnaise and mustard, just like an egg salad base, basically, with a little bit of nutritional yeast. You can see that. If you happen to have leftovers after your party, it also goes great on sandwiches, in tortillas, all those sorts of things. So we've got that mixed together. And now we're just going to keep chopping those veggies. So we've got the dill.
Got the dough going.
Next, we're going to add a quarter bunch of fresh parsley. So you can just kind of cut off about a quarter of that. Oh, that looks like a half.
And this recipe calls for half of a bunch of dill, but you can really eyeball it and use as much as you want.
Yep, it's really to taste. And that's one thing that makes this recipe especially nice, is that it is so flexible. You've got your mustard base there, and from there you can really move in any direction. You could even try substituting different types of mustard. So if you wanted a little bit of spicier version, you could try a Dijon. You can also substitute different herbs like fresh oregano, thyme, basil, those sorts of things, and get a really different product. So I've got this parsley here.
You mean parsley?
Oh.
You mean parsley isn't just garnish?
I was just going to say, parsley has a lot of really great health benefits. It's a liver tonic, so it helps filter your blood. It's also high in all sorts of vitamins, isn't it, Dave?
Definitely. It's really high in iron. So you definitely want to,
Minerals.
if you're low in iron, you should definitely add parsley to your everyday recipes like soups and salads.
You can add it to pesto too. So if you're a little bit low on basil, it helps fill out that pesto. Okay, so I'm going to stop there with the parsley. So now we've got
It's looking good.
a really nice green addition to that base that we made.
I think both parsley and dill are antibacterial as well, so they have really good healing properties.
Yeah, so, it's great to add a little bit of healing properties to your party.
To your party.
While you're imbibing and maybe, having a few drinks here and there, go ahead and add some nice medicinal herbs to that too, and a great dip that tastes good. Okay, so we've got two more ingredients left to go. This is a delicious locally grown pepper from Denison Farm. Denison Farm is about 3 miles north of Corvallis, and they use passive solar heat in their greenhouses. So they have a long growing season, and we'll have peppers through the end of November from them. So that's good. So we've got this pepper here, it's organically grown. And then our next ingredient, it does say on our ingredient list, spring onion. We're going to go ahead and use scallions. And about half a bunch, is that what we're going to say?
Yeah, scallions are,
onion.
some people get confused because scallions are actually the same as green onions.
Yep. Which one would you like to cut, Dave?
I would say the onions.
You want to go for onions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you can add any type of pepper you like. You could even try jalapenos for a little bit of a spicier approach.
Yeah.
So I'm just cutting that in half, and then I'm going to dice it a little bit.
I'm wondering how like a marinated sweet pepper mix would be.
That would be delicious. And I think one advantage to making your own pate is that you do get to add a lot more fresh vegetables than you maybe would get with the over-the-counter pre-made
Absolutely.
pates. All right, so we'll just add these last two veggies, and then we'll stir it up, and we'll have our 2 party dips ready to go, and the guests are not even here yet. Or maybe they are.
I think they're behind the cameras.
Yep.
You can always save your leftover scraps from what you're cooking and throw them in like a bag and keep it in the freezer, and then you can use that for a really basic vegetable stock all throughout the winter. Just keep adding to it.
Oh, and another thing I did want to add, another great tip for keeping your dill fresh is to trim the ends off, and go ahead and keep that in a glass of water in your refrigerator, covered with a plastic bag, and it'll keep for up to a month fresh. So
Wow.
We hear a lot of people coming to our store asking, why aren't the bunches smaller? I only use this much. I want a half a bunch. And so there are ways to keep that fresh so that you can use it all and not have it go to waste in the fridge.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to give that a little stir?
Yes. So red bell peppers are really high in vitamin A and vitamin C.
Dave, do you know the difference between a red and a green bell pepper?
Is this a joke?
No. Does it sound like a joke?
It does. It sounds like the setup for a joke. I know, I
The joke
don't.
might be on you. Well, actually, they're the same thing. It's just that the red peppers are fully ripened. So then a lot of times you notice at the store the different prices between a red and a green bell pepper. That's because the farmers have to keep their peppers on the plant for a lot longer to get them to the ripened stage of red. And so a lot of people go through their whole lives eating the green peppers, which aren't ripe. And when I talk to local farmers, they really appreciate the delicious flavor of a fully ripened red pepper. So we've got this one right here. It's getting to the end of the season. You can see it's kind of a mix of red and green.
I much prefer the red. They're very, very sweet. Little fuller.
And they add a nice color to your dish too.
Yeah, especially when it's tofu.
Yeah.
All right, sounding squishy.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay. We may have to taste this and make sure it has enough seasoning.
That's one thing you always want to make sure you have on hand nearby when you're cooking is a nice set of spoons so you can get your... Oh, wait, we forgot a couple things, our spices. So
I'm all ready to taste it.
Before we're done, we're going to add some cumin and some cayenne pepper. Would you like to add those?
Definitely. I'm usually pretty liberal with cayenne pepper. It's really good for your circulation. But you might want to start with a little teeny bit, just a dash, and then add as you go.
And we have two different varieties of dried cayenne in our bulk department at the co-op. So you can choose the 90,000 rating or the 30,000, depending on what your heat tolerance is and what your objective is. It does get the endorphins going, though, for sure. All right, got the last of the pepper in here.
This recipe calls for half a teaspoon of cumin, but I really enjoy cumin. Probably add just a eyeball extra.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. And this is where you really get close to the tasting point. Oh, except for salt. Sorry. You can look at the recipe, or you can just add things at random.
If you get bored in the kitchen or you have children helping, it's really fun to put on gloves or not. Just wash your hands and mix this by hand.
It's what the real chefs do.
It's what the pros do. It's smelling delicious.
All right, are we ready to try it?
I believe so. And do a couple more turns. All right. Yeah.
This is one that does really become flexible depending on what your taste is. So you'll just adjust your seasonings to taste. I don't think it needs anything.
I don't think so either.
It was perfect. Wow. So the next step is just getting your chips ready. We selected two different types of chips from the store. The Sesame Blues, which are made with organic blue corn. And they have little sesame seeds in them, which I thought would add a fun element. And then the second variety are the mini rounds. And I thought this would add an interesting, kind of contrast. So we've got two different chips, and we'll just kind of mix them up like this.
A little more festive.
Yeah, festive bowl of chips right here. Boop. Okay. Okay, so let's see. And then the last step, I like to go ahead and just kind of clean around the edges. You can always transfer this to a smaller bowl, put out half at a time. But for this purpose, we're just going to go ahead and clean up the edges a little bit with our spatula here. Maybe. And you could garnish it with some fresh veggies around the sides if you like. And we're ready.
Delicious.
So just bring on the guests. I think that's going to wrap up our Big Dippin' show today.
I believe so.
Sure has been fun, hasn't it, Dave?
That's right, and we'll be back on Thursday.
Yep, so if you missed any of the details, you can check our website for the complete recipes or visit us in the stores. We have lots of recipes like this and others, and we're doing demos all the time. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
See you next time.